In large scale applications, often we find that the bottleneck is the database. Why? Because for application servers, you can have ready-made sort of scalability solutions available. For in-memory caches, etc., we'll have ready-made solutions for clusters, etc. But when it comes to database, generally ready-made solutions for splitting up is not available. That's when database sharding comes into picture.
A few minutes later.
Database sharding is the process of splitting up database across multiple machines to improve the scalability of your application. Okay, let's try to understand database sharding with an example. Let's assume you have a pastry. You ordered a pastry and you ate it. Okay, so you were able to eat it completely. Now, next, what you did was you wanted to order a cake, but now you were not able to eat it completely. Why? Because the cake was large in size. So what is the solution that you tried to do here? You tried to split the cake into pieces. You called your friends to eat the cake and your friends were here to help you out with the cake. So what you have done is basically you have divided this problem into subparts with, let's say, every subpart being a piece of cake. So this is how sharding also works. So when, let's say, the entire data is not fit in terms of scale and availability on a single database, that's when we decide to partition it. In sharding, one data is broken into two or smaller chunks and we call them logical shards. These logical shards are then distributed across separate database nodes and we refer to them as physical shards. So this is the basics of how sharding is done. Now, in order to understand database shards, let's try to understand some more points. So database shards are autonomous and they don't share any of the same data or computing resources. In some cases though, it makes sense to replicate certain table on multiple shards, but the idea behind sharding was not to have replication. Replication is something which we create for availability. Often shards is implemented at application level, meaning that databases generally do not provide this as a ready-made solution, meaning that application includes code which defines that what is the shard on which this information should be written upon and what is the shard from which this data should be read. However, nowadays some of the DBMS are have started providing sharding capabilities within, which means that they allows you to implement sharding directly at database level. Now let's check some of the advantages of sharding. The first and very important advantage of sharding, like most of you might be aware, is highly available. So high availability is an aspect of sharding due to which we generally try to do it. So with a sharded database, if there is an outage in one database shard, it makes only some part of application or website available to some users, but other shards can continue to operate without any issues. If database is unsharded, then an outage has potential to make entire application unavailable, but unsharding is something which we will not do, and it is highly unlikely that all the shards will go down at once. So high availability is the key aspect due to which we went with sharding. Next is faster query response. Of course, because this database now is divided on multiple machines or physical shards. They'll have their own processing power and memory. That means query, when compared to, let's say, running the same query on same database on a monolith, will be faster when it runs on a shard, because shard will have, let's say, if there are five, if this database is divided into 5 shards, that means it only needs to go through 20% of data, plus we'll of course have some sort of optimization in terms of indexing, etc., which will make it even faster. Next is we will have more write bandwidth available. So what would really happen is, when we use a master slave architecture, generally writes happen on the single database, which we call it as master. That is where all the write bandwidth is available, which means there will be a limitation on the writes that can happen. With no master database serializing, we can write data in parallel in case of database sharding, which means the throughput of write will increase and the bottleneck which we saw in a single database goes away. The next feature is scaling out. So let's say you started with serving 100 MB of data, then your data increased to GB, eventually to, let's say, 1000 GBs and TBs. Till that time, let's say your RDBMS with, let's say, single node was working fine. But as and when this data is increasing, it really becomes almost impossible for single server to handle this. This is where sharding helps in scaling out. So what will really happen is, if this database was sharded from beginning, we will be facilitating a horizontal scaling that also is known as scaling out, which means a parallel backend can have much more work which can be done simultaneously, because writes and reads can now happen on different physical shards which are part of this, which means there will be separate cache, separate machines, separate IOs, etc. So bottlenecks will not be there, and scaling out will be easy because all you need to do is, let's say, add a new partition or new shard to your sharded database. While there are so many advantages of sharding, sharding of course has some cons as well, that is disadvantages of sharding. So one is it adds complexity to the system. So what really happens is, properly implementing a shard in database architecture is a complex task. If we have not done that correctly, there are significant risks that we have associated with sharding. Why? Because let's say if I have data and I decided to shard it via country, that means India's data will be in one shard and US data will be in one shard, then this sharding policy also plays an important role. Because let's say if at this point of time it's day in India, all the traffic is coming from India, so that means this is not good strategy. Other shards are almost free because US, let's say, have nighttime and India has the major role. So that's where sharding and policies of sharding makes a lot of sense, which would also mean that, let's say, had I done it maybe on the basis of like last digit of my user ID, then probably all the all the users of a different region will be spread across the shard. So entirely it will be like all the shards will have uniform requests which will be there. So we can have such solutions. Sharding also has major impact in terms of your team workflow, because let's say if there is a problem, rather than managing one data from single entry point, user needs to go through multiple shard locations, and at times this can become a disruptive activity also for a team. Next like disadvantage, or let's say next thing which we really have with shard is rebalancing data. So what happens is, in a sharded database architecture, sometimes a shard outgrows other shards. That means, let's say if I have 4 shards from a single database, one of the shard will increase heavily and remaining will not increase that much, and there comes an unbalanced state in our database. This is also known as database hotspot. So in this case, any benefits of sharding, this single database with major data will cancel out. Hence, the database would more likely to be resharded to allow for a more even database distribution. So rebalancing has to be built in from the start. Otherwise, there will be activities like resharding, and moving data from one shard to another requires, of course, the downtime. A third problem is, in case if your data is too much relational, joining data from multiple shards is very complex. Why? Because we have to query out to multiple machines and then pull out a lot of data from them, then create a join on them. So if your data is something which is too much of a normalization, then sharding is something which takes time in terms of read, because joining data takes time. Fourth is no native support. So sharding is not natively supported, like I said, by a lot of database engines. Because of this, sharding is often known as roll on your own strategy, which means that while there will be documentation, if there is a problem, troubleshooting of a sharding problems become very difficult. In terms of type of sharding, there are basically 3 types of shardings which we have. One is a key-based sharding. In key-based sharding, generally what will happen is the division of data happens on the basis of one column. So it's like, let's say if I have a column 1 wherein I have, say, data for rows with A, B, C, D. So what really will happen is there will be a hash function which will divide this data and inform me which shard this data should go on. Key-based sharding is one of the most common sharding techniques, but it really becomes like problem here is when we need to add more shards, then the hash function requires a lot of rebalancing. So adding or removing shard servers becomes a bit tricky here. Next is range-based sharding. So range-based sharding is like, let's say if you have a list of products and there will be, so what we will do is we will shard it on the basis of range of data. So for instance, anything between $0 to $50 will go into shard 1, 50 to, let's say, $100 will go into shard 2, and 100 per plus will go into shard 3. This is also a good technique, but this range-based data sharding is generally conflicted with uneven distribution. Like I said in the example, 0 to 50, 50 to 100, and 100 plus. So if, let's say, we have more commodities in 100 plus category, in that case uneven distribution will be there and shard 3 will have a lot of data. Then next is directory based sharding. Directory based sharding is like, let's say you'll have a table within your database in which you will store what shard is having the value for this data, and then we query out this. So for instance, let's say if in a normal database you have IDs like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's say names like A, B, C, D. So now in sharded piece, what we will have is against 1, 2, 3, 4, I will maintain what is the shard ID on which this data is available, and then on that shard this data will actually be available. So sharding based on directory is flexible when we compare it to range based or key based. because range base limits the range values, key base limits the fixed hash value functions. So with directory based sharding, it's more like we have a lookup table. So if you have to generally change some data from one shard to another, it's just the lookup table that needs to be performed. But then lookup table becomes one bottleneck in such cases. But then because lookup table is more like a key value pair, you can also have caching strategies built over it to mitigate through it. So that's it for database sharding for beginners. I hope you liked the video. In case if you did, do not forget to press the like button and subscribe to the channel and say design strong.
खत्म, बाय बाय, टाटा, गुड बाय, गया।